Hi guys, welcome to Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith, and today I'm coming to you from the dining room. Only because the kitchen's small. We're about to bake a cake that's got a lot of moving parts. It's actually probably one of the more complex cakes I've ever made. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Glad you found me. I hope you take something away from this little baking demonstration. If you're returning, thank you. Well, thank you either way, but thank you for coming back. Means you're getting something out of what I do. So, quick background. My channel is just a documentary of me and who I am. Tuesdays, we just sit around the kitchen table and talk. Wednesdays, we try to cook something, which if you get a chance, check out the enchilada casserole we made yesterday. Absolutely awesome. Turned out great. And then on Thursdays, we try to bake something. We also do some canning, some yard work, some gardening, some woodworking, just whatever basically I feel like is relevant to show the world. So today, don't forget to subscribe button down there. If you'd be so kind. Like button, dislike button, that's up to you. Thumbs up, thumbs down. And for sure, leave comments. Just I'll ask that you keep them polite. Our community is a good community. We're respectful. It's okay to disagree. Just do it in a respectful sort of way. You basically think before you speak. That's something I think a lot of people need to practice. But anyhow, and notifications, blah, blah, you know the routine. At any rate. So today we're going to make a golden chiffon cake with a marshmallow icing. I got this recipe from Joy of Baking. It's Stephanie Jaworski's channel. Absolutely awesome channel. Great recipes. Me and Chris have been following her for easy 3 or 4 years now. We've made dozens of her recipes. Matter of fact, most of the baking stuff I do on here I get from hers. Not all of it, but a good majority of it. And we've never had anything bad, ever. Matter of fact, she has some of the most amazing demonstrations that she does. She also has a website, joybaking.com, where she's got a bazillion recipes. She's been doing this for like 12 years just on YouTube. So that being said, this is a rather complex cake. It takes quite a few moving parts. So let me, I'm gonna move the camera down so you can see we're trying something completely new today. We're doing everything in the dining room other than actually baking it. The oven's obviously still in the kitchen, but if you're new to my channel, my kitchen is literally 7 foot by 15 foot. It's the smallest kitchen I've ever seen in my world. I've had walk-in closets bigger than my kitchen. So we're going to try to put everything together out here and just put it in the oven in the kitchen. That way we've got some space to move around and breathe, because that's what we like to do, is move around and breathe. So let me get the camera reset, and I'll show you what's going on. All right? Give me just 1 second. All right, so got the camera moved. Hope everybody can see everything that's going on. First thing I want to talk about is some things that you're going to need. Okay, so this is a bundt cake, so we're going to need a bundt pan or a tube pan. Okay, and you want a 2-piece one, just like this. So that way, because we're going to have to flip it over to get it out, we can take that off and then remove this. One thing we're going to do differently today, and I hope this works out, is we're not going to grease or oil our pan. You do not want to grease, oil, butter, flour, nothing. Just leave it like it is. The thought behind that is when we put the batter in here as it bakes, it's going to rise up. And we want it to cling to the sides, because we're going to turn it over and let it cool this way. All right, and I'll show you. But if you butter your sides or make them non-stick, which unfortunately all I have is this non-stick pan, it won't work. But we're going to try it anyhow. Worst case scenarios, it doesn't work. It'll still be good, but we're trying to keep it tall, and it could go down a little bit as it cools if we can't turn it upside down properly. But we'll see. We'll find out. All right, so that being said, other tools you will need, as always, scale. All right, scales are important. You'll definitely need one when baking. And they just make life so much easier. You know, some cake recipes you have to be fairly precise on. The next thing you will need is a handy dandy recipe. I write, in case you're new, I write all my recipes down in a notebook. If we like it, it stays in the notebook. If we don't like it, just tear it out, throw it away. The other thing you will need, I'm using my stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer if that's your gig, but you can't really do this without some sort of mixer. You will need at least 3 bowls for this recipe. You will need 1 for the first stage, 1 for the second stage, and then a 3rd bowl to combine them both together. So let's go ahead and I'll move the recipe over here. We'll get our stand mixer over here so we can see it. Now, for the first time in forever, I actually have my stand mixer plugged in first. I don't normally plug the stand mixer in because we've got little hands at work that run around here and like to turn things on, and that could cause a whole host of problems. It could hurt them. If it's up in the air and you got the blade on there, it could hurt you. Or if it's down there and you got a bunch of flour in the bowl. Flour goes everywhere, creates a mess. So my recommendation is you never plug in your tools until you go to use them. So we're going to go ahead and get these bad boys out of here, which I should have done first. We are going to use both the paddle attachment and the whisk attachment. Now, if you're using a hand mixer, you won't have a paddle attachment, and that's okay. I just have this option. Stand mixers are expensive, and we actually own one. So I'm trying to make the use out, get the most out of this, so I try to use it for everything. So, but we're going to start with the paddle attachment. And that's what we're going to use for a good chunk of this. All right, so we're going to start with our dry goods. All right, and actually, let me take that off so I have the ability to put these in here. First thing we're going to need is 240 grams or 2 cups. I will always give you grams, and that way you can use your scale and your cups in case you don't have one. But if you don't have one, get one. They're less than 20 bucks. So we're going to put that in here. All right, got that going in. And then we're going to need 1 cup or 200 grams of sugar, which we have right here. And it's just plain old sugar, like the type you put in your coffee or, you know, your sugar or your cereal, if that's your thing. We're going to put that in there. We're going to put in 2 teaspoons, 8 grams of baking powder. And then the last dry ingredient is a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of salt. All right, and we're just gonna put our paddle on there. We're gonna turn this on low. You don't want to turn it on high, anything bigger than low. That flour, once it starts spinning, you kick this onto high, it's just gonna fly everywhere. So we're just gonna put it on low for a second. We're just gonna let this combine. Okay, so we've got that all combined. All right, and I mean, literally, we just ran on low for about 30 seconds, and we're good to go there. Get that out of the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this so it's not in my way. Set it down on the counter. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna just take a spoon or a spatula or something, and whatever you have readily available. I have a spatula, and we're gonna make a well. Okay, right there in the center. And then to that, we're going to add 7 egg yolks. Okay, and it's just the yolks. You'll have to forgive 3 of them broke, but there's no whites in there at all. I separated them. And you want these at room temperature. Okay, so we're going to add our egg yolks, our 7 egg yolks, right down there in that well, just like such. Yep. Got that. All right, and if we get our egg yolks in there, the next thing we're gonna need is a half a cup of just tap water, and you're gonna want that at room temperature too. So if it comes out of your tap and it's cold, let it sit. All these can be good to go in about a half hour. Take them out, separate your eggs. It's easy to separate the yellow from the white, the yolk from the egg white when they're cold, and then you just let them sit at room temperature. Just make sure you cover them with saran wrap. If not, you'll get this really weird film over the top of them. So half a cup, 120 grams or milliliters of just room temperature tap water. And then we're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. That is 8 grams vanilla extract. Right in there. And then we're going to need a half a cup of vegetable oil. Half a cup of vegetable oil. And that's also 120 grams or 120 milliliters. Milliliters and grams kind of balance out to be the same. And we're going to put that in there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up until it's smooth. It'll take about a minute or two. We want to get it all incorporated and smooth. No lumps. So, and start out on low to medium low and just let it go. Okay, and then once it's smooth, we'll move on to the next step. So give me just 1 second and we'll have her going. All right, so we let that mix until it was smooth. I mean, it took a minute, and then we're gonna get what we can off of the paddle attachment there. All right, got that. Now we're gonna take this off. Maybe. There we go. Take that off and we're going to set this aside. All right, this is where the bowl number 2 comes into play. And once again, you'll go ahead and, you're going to need 3 bowls either way, hand mixing or not. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to basically make a meringue. We're going to take 8 egg whites, which I have right here. Once again, covered in plastic, 8 egg whites. And it's just where we separated the 7, we put them in there, and then did 1 extra egg. All right, so we're going to dump that in there. And once again, these are at room temperature. Basically, any dairy product, you want at room temperature. So we got that in there. Now we need our whisk attachment, which would be this attachment here. If you're using a hand mixer, you already have your whisk attachment on there, or your attachment on there. And we're going to take those, and we're just going to mix these on low until they start to get foamy. And I'll show you what I mean. Let me go ahead and get this started, and we'll get these to be foamy. All right. So we got it to where it's bubbly. And I'll show you here real quick. I don't know if you can see it there or not. But see how they've got bubbles on the top? That's what we're looking for. Okay? Just bubbles on the top. We haven't actually created a meringue anything yet. So the next thing we need to add to this is our cream of tartar. And we're going to do a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of cream of tartar. And we're going to put that in there. Just like such. And then we are going to whisk this with our whisk attachment on medium-high until we get soft peaks. All right, so I believe we got soft peaks. And with the cream of tartar, the reason why you put that in there is you want it helps prevent over whipping your egg whites, right? Because you can over whip them and turn them into what is like egg white cement. But we got wrong one. We got soft peaks, and what you're looking for with soft peaks is there's a couple different things you'll notice, but that's soft peaks. See how it just kind of lifts up and falls over in the bowl? Okay, that's what you're looking for. That's a soft peak. Another way you can tell is as you're mixing it, you'll start to see lines where the whisk attachment or your attachments for your hand mixer are going through. So our end goal is stiff peaks with this, but we have one more ingredient to add to this. And we're going to add a half a cup of sugar to it. Okay, that's 100 grams, half a cup right there. Once again, just plain old white sugar. And give me 1 second. I forgot to grab a spoon. Because as always, I seem to forget one thing. All right, and I'm just going to start off. I'm just using a regular old spoon, a soup spoon, and I'm going to put that a little bit in there, and then we're going to lock her down, and we're going to put her on high. And what we're looking to do is mix in that sugar, until it's completely incorporated, and then we'll just keep adding a little bit at a time until we've got the whole half a cup in there. And once we've got this in there, I'll show you what to look for after that, because there's a test you can do on this to make sure that it's at its proper consistency. All right. So now we've got our egg whites whipped up, and we're looking for stiff peaks. Let me show you what a stiff peak is. All right, we got our sugar incorporated in there a little bit at a time, but see how that, is just nice and stiff there on the end. If we did it, if I had proper technique and showing you, you would know, but it doesn't move. It's stiff. Okay. Now the cream of tartar keeps it from going past this point. What else you can do to test it to make sure that it's ready? Because like I said, you want it smooth. You're going to take a little bit of it. Take it off the thing here. All right. And you're just going to rub it between your fingers. And if you feel any grittiness, it's not ready yet. But that I'm here to tell you, that is super smooth. That's awesome. So then you lick the whipped cream off your fingers. This is essentially a meringue. Okay. This is the same thing. This would be good to go to put on top of a banana cream pie or a lemon cream pie, or any kind of pie like that, a cream pie. Chocolate pudding pie, which would be awesome. All right, get that all taken care of. I had a napkin. Thank you, ma'am. Chris brought me a towel, which we will thank her for, because that's a kind thing to do. I know it's whipped cream, but back off. Yeah. All right, there is that. Stick that in there. I don't even know why I wiped it off. All right, so let me real quick remove the handy dandy mixer, because the next thing we're going to do requires the third bowl, which we have right here. Ta-da! Third bowl. And we have to fold the whipped topping, the egg whites, into our batter. I mean, I suppose I could just do it in this bowl, but it would be okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Because yes, I could just mix it into this bowl right here. All right, the glass bowl we got the batter into. And that would be, okay. I mean, if you've only got two bowls, rock on, you do what you need to do, so to speak. But here's the thing with that. We're going to fold the egg whites into this batter. So you want a wider space than a deeper space, I guess is what I guess that's the best way to say it. This way I have more room to fold with, because we don't want to incorporate, we don't want the egg whites to break down, much like we didn't. If you notice, the only thing we put on high speed at all was the egg whites there at the end. The batter we didn't mix at high speed. The egg whites in the beginning we didn't mix at high speed. We just kind of did everything on medium low to medium. And that's because up to this point we didn't want to add a whole lot of air to it. But the egg whites, by doing it this way, separating your egg whites, it adds all the air you need. This is what's going to give it that fluffy, spongy appeal. A chiffon cake is very similar. It's in the same species, genre, or category as angel food cake. It's like if a buttercream cake and an angel food cake got together and had a baby, it'd be a chiffon cake. So all we're going to do is just fold this in, and we're going to do it in parts. Don't put all your eggs in one bowl. I kill myself. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna split it into like 3 or 4 parts. So, and this is all we're gonna do. When you fold in, you come around and then down the center. Okay, you're kind of doing it here where you can do a figure 8, but you want to fold it over every time. Yeah, just fold it over, back down the center. All right, well, I'm gonna get the rest of this all folded in, and when I come back, we will take a look and see what the next step is. All right, I will see you here in just one moment. All right, so we got this nice and folded in. It's looking creamy and frothy. Well, not frothy, but fluffy. All right, which is what we're looking for. Okay, we want fluffy. Fluffy equals good in this case. All right, so now we're going to take our pan, and all we're going to do is pour it into the pan. Okay. And try not to make a mess in the process. It's one of the challenges of doing it at the dining room table. You gotta be extra careful you don't get it on the tablecloth. If I'd have been a good husband, I'd have taken the tablecloth off. But I didn't think about it. That's all right. We didn't get any on the tablecloth anyhow. So got that. Like with the residue off the fingers, which I'm obligated to tell you, being an adult and parent, you should not eat raw cake batter. Do not do like I do. Because eggs contain salmonella. You know, doesn't matter where you get them from. All eggs, all chickens in the U.S. contain salmonella. Because we do not treat with antibiotics, which is a good thing. And so our chickens automatically have salmonella. The eggs automatically have salmonella. All right. Now we're to the point where we can put it in the oven. Let me bring the camera back up so that way I can see your beautiful smiling face, maybe. If it'll let me. There we go. All right. Like I said, trying out new camera angles is interesting. So, we're to the point now where we got to put this in the oven. Let's talk about the oven for a minute. Only because I forgot to tell you. We want to preheat our oven to 325 degrees. We should have done that before we started making the cake. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything that we didn't. Sorry, I had some batter on the bowl that was bugging me. And I wanted to not lick my fingers again. But we're going to preheat the oven to 325 degrees. We're going to put this in the oven. And we're going to bake it. Now, the directions say 55 to 60 minutes. Since I have never baked anything in this oven before, in case you didn't know, my oven's brand new. Just got it yesterday. The enchilada casserole was the very first thing we ever put in that oven. Now we're going to try a really complicated cake, because why not? So, 55 to 60 minutes. Start checking it at about 50 minutes. You should be able to stick a toothpick, or in this case, since it's in a pan, a bundt pan, we're probably going to use a skewer, like a real small, long stick of wood, and put it down in there, and it should come out clean. All right, and you should have some sponginess to the top, things of that nature. We'll look at it more when it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven. I'm going to start checking it at 50 minutes, 325 degrees, and let it go all the way up to an hour if need be. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about how to let this thing cool. All right, see you in a sec. Okay, so we got the cake out of the oven, and it's blazing hot. It is done. I used my toothpick, poked it down in here in the center. Well, I know you're getting pizza. It's gonna be awesome. And the toothpick came out clean, nothing on it, no crumbs, no liquid, so we're good there. So here's where it gets tricky, and I may fail. All right, because my bunt pan is naturally non-stick because of the way it's made. This may not work, but here's what you want to do. We're going to flip this over and put it on top of this jar by its centerpiece. The reason for that is we're going to try not to get this cake to drop down any. We want it to use its own gravity to do its thing. All right, it looks like it may work. Yep, I think we're in business. Okay, so the next step, we have to let this thing completely cool. Okay, we're just going to leave it sit like that, maybe for a half hour. And then when we come back, we're going to make a marshmallow cream icing. It was a Swiss cream icing, but it's called marshmallow icing. And even that, as complicated as this kind of was to do, with it being a 3-step process, the icing's not horribly easy either. It's a little complicated too. This is definitely, I don't think, a beginner's cake, but I wouldn't do this as my very first cake at any rate. But anyhow, that being said, I'm going to let this cool, and when I come back, we will do our thing with the icing. All right? I will see you here in just one moment. As he walks off camera to shut it off. Okay, guys, we're back. I let this cool for a really long time, truth be told. I went to a cooking demonstration thing while we were going. So it's been sitting here for about an hour. And it didn't fall, which is awesome. So all you gotta do is just take it off. And, well, that didn't work out quite as expected. Got a little cake there on the... Yep. Ooh. Which is all right. Ooh, that's good. All right, so next thing we do, we are going to move into the kitchen after this, but I want to go ahead and get this off the pan. I'm just taking this flat spatula here, little spatula. If you don't have one, it's cool. You can use a knife or whatever your heart desires. And we're going to go around the edges, make sure they're off of there. You'll have to excuse the background noise. Abby is reheating her dinner. Then we'll take it on the inside here. I already tell you, this is one soft cake. It's spongy. It's feeling awesome. Get that there. Then we'll set the knife down. All we gotta do is just flip it over. And hopefully this will come off. We'll see. There we go. Outer ring off. Now, I don't know if you can see, and I'll show you as soon as everybody gets out of my way here. It does have a little bit of the cake on the inside, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. Well, go ahead and set that aside, and then we're just going to take our spatula and put it up underneath this rim here. And then that way we can separate this from the what'll be the top of the cake. Or you can make it the bottom. I mean, depending on how you want to do it. Get that going there. There we are. And we'll wiggle this out. Bam. Done. Looking good. Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's so spongy. That's beautiful. It's like an angel food cake. Bring the cake over here so you can see it. And here's our finished product. It is crummy. I mean, that's okay, because even before we put the icing on it, which we got to make the icing still, I'm going to go across it with my hand and just knock all the crumbs off of it. And that's, in the world of baking, this is perfectly acceptable. That's the way it should look. All right, well, let me get my camera set up, and we'll, in the kitchen, and we'll talk about making some icing. All right, see you in a second. Okay, guys, welcome back to the kitchen. The dining room thing was kind of an experiment to see if it gave me more room, and it did for the most part. And with this cake having so many parts, so to speak, so many ingredients, and needing the space to kind of get it all together, I thought it would be a better idea to do it out in the dining room. But anyhow, now we're back in the kitchen. We're going to make the icing. This icing isn't hard. Like I said, it's called a marshmallow icing, but it's really and it's also known as a Swiss cream icing. To my understanding, it does require a few things though. I'm going to bring the camera down so you can see what all we got going on here, because there's a lot happening on the counter. Although there's only 4 ingredients to this, but it still takes a minute, and I'll explain why we have to do the things we have to do. But it does require a mixer, as you can see right there. Once again, stand mixer, and if you're using a stand mixer, stand mixer, geez, oh Pete, you want to use your wire whisk attachment, okay? Because we're essentially making another meringue in a way, but all it requires, all right, we have to heat it first, but we need 4 egg whites. All right, just like last time, no yolk, no yellow in the center, just the 4 whites. Need to put that in our saucepan. Okay, we're gonna put a half a teaspoon, in my case, a liberal half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to put in half a cup, 100 grams of sugar. All right, I feel excited making this. It's been so long since I have been able to bake anything. And then the last thing we're going to need is 2 grams, half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Because once again, we're going to end up whipping this in the stand mixer. So we need the cream of tartar so we don't over whip it. All right, and then we just want to mix this up, okay? I'm sure you guys didn't hear Christian's in the other room, but cream of tartar is a stabilizer. So we've got this mixed up. And we're going to continue to mix it up, because what we're going to do is, this is where it gets kind of technical. We need a candy thermometer, all right, or a thermometer of some sort. I'm using a digital one. They make ones that have giant cords on them. You just set it down in, and then they also make a standard, just regular mercury-based candy thermometer. Now the thing with those is they may not reach the bottom. All right, because you can't really tell, but there's not that much liquid in here. And what we're wanting to do is we're going to want to bring this up to 160 degrees. No more, no less. Okay? As soon as it hits 160 degrees, I'm taking it off the heat. What we're doing by accomplishing this, we're getting rid of some of the we're making the sugar dissolve, but like I said earlier, all eggs have salmonella. Okay, and if you don't know what salmonella is, it's a foodborne illness, and it can make you very, very sick. In some cases, it can kill you. It can, depending on who you are, and we don't want that. So we got to bring it up to 160 degrees, so that way that's killed off. By 160 degrees, it's done. But you want to consistently stir this. All right, if you don't, you will end up with a scrambled egg. Okay, you don't want a scrambled egg. So by stirring it, we're keeping it from scrambling, and we're not getting it hot enough to boil it. Like right now we're at 80 degrees, 81. And we're tempering basically. We're bringing it up to a specific temperature. Only in this case, we're doing it so we don't kill ourselves with salmonella, or make ourselves sick, and then we're ultimately going to whip it. So I had mentioned a minute ago that I was at a food party, and it was actually a Pampered Chef party. Now, if you don't know what Pampered Chef is, they make kitchen appliances, small appliances, and knives, and whisk, and all the extra little added gadgets that come with it. And I saw some of the coolest things that I think we may end up ordering. Not that I really need any more gadgets, but at the same time, I've learned in the tool realm, at any rate, you can never have too many gadgets. But we saw a mandolin that is kind of hands-free, for the most part. And it's what free? Yeah. And then we saw it was a kit, and the kit was kind of expensive, and we didn't really need a whole kit of this, but the food processor in and of itself was pretty awesome. The motor was on the top. It came with several different styles of blades, and it was battery operated. You didn't need an electrical outlet to run it. Now, at first I was thinking that's a bit excess. We're at 146 now, so we're almost there. We got to pay attention because we want to get it off the heat as soon as it's done. I was thinking, but you can buy a corded one just for about half that price. You can buy a cheap corded one for about a third that price. But what if power goes out? What if you're out camping and you want to make hash browns or something like that? That could come in real handy. That and that chopper. All right, we're at 157. So I think that might be something we order down the road. Now I'm at 160. All right, so we're turning off the heat, taking out the thermometer, and we're getting it off the heat. All right, we actually have soft peaks here, so we're in pretty good shape. All right, we're just going to pour this straight on in. We don't want to keep it going for sure. And as I was also talking to Chris, I even started to burn on the bottom. That's never cool, but that's all right. It didn't get in the whipping part, and that's all I care about, really. So we got that going. So now if you start to go above 160, you could burn your eggs, even if you're stirring. Get the amazing gas appliance out of the way. Lock this so I can bring it over. Now, as you notice this time, I don't have it plugged in. Like I said before, we even talked about this at the party I was at. Try not to plug anything in until we have to. All right, so we're going to beat this to stiff peaks just like we did before. I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and when I come back, we'll talk about icing the cake. All right, be back in 1 second. All right, we got her whipped. Now, I was thinking about this before I made this, and the fact we put it in there hot, how is it going to whip? Well, what happens is the whipping actually rapidly cools it down and allows you to whip it into a nice stiff peak, so to speak. So, we got that all taken care of. Now out of the way, it looks absolutely amazing. It's so just fluffy and looks delicious. I haven't actually tried any of it yet. Tastes like marshmallows. That's kind of cool. It is a little sticky, I'm not gonna lie, but tastes good. I've never made marshmallows, so that might be the process for making marshmallows. Although I don't think so. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaned off here. There is that. Oh, trying not to get it all over the digital thermometer. So I get for sticking it in the sink. Move that. Let me get this out of the way real quick. I can't wait till we get everything built downstairs. We got the stove down there. I just got to run the electrics and go buy a handful of cabinets so we can have a countertop. Alright, got that out of the way. Once we get the countertop, it's game on. We'll be able to cook downstairs with lots of room, counter space. It'll be nice. Okay, so with your cake, we'll go ahead and just knock the crumbs off. You don't have to. I'm going to. You just take your hand, rub it around it, knock off the looseness. Nobody will ever know. Well, except for like Chris will know because I think she's in the living room listening to me. Get that knocked off, lift you up, dump the crumbs off. Oh, stuck to the plate a little bit. That's all right. That's all right. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I know I mentioned the fact that a chiffon cake is in the same category as an angel food cake. See how spongy that is and how it bounces back? That's just like an angel food cake would be. But it has kind of the same premise as a butter cake. All right, so anyhow, we'll go ahead and get the icing on there. And icing it is relatively easy. It's constant. You're just going to put icing on it. And how neat you want to be with it is realistically completely up to you. So I'm going to use my spatula. We're just going to plop some here on the top, maybe. As I said, this stuff it's called marshmallow frosting for a reason. It's just like marshmallows. Get a little bit over here on the top. Man, this is some fluffy stuff. This kind of puts marshmallow fluff to shame. And that should be enough to get us started. And we're just going to go down the sides with it. You know, like I said, I don't bake to win contests. I'm not a professional. You know, I'm just a guy who likes to make sweet stuff and enjoy it. And it, you know, to watch, when you bake something, to watch the look on somebody's face when they try it and you know it's good, man, there's just not a greater feeling in the world. So, and I mean, that's pretty much all we're ready now. As far as topping this goes, you could put sprinkles on it. You could do whatever you wanted with this. I think Stephanie on Joy of Baking, she did a light roast on some coconuts. She put some coconut shavings. And you can use sweetened or unsweetened to put on top of this. Or you could slice up some strawberries and put it on top. You can, I mean, there's a million and one things. You could just use sprinkles. You know, you can actually eat this without even putting any icing on it. I know back in the day you would have like angel food cake and you would just have strawberries over the top of it. Or you could do like a, you know, like they did with shortbreads. You know, you could make or buy shortbreads to put on it. And that was always good. Yes, you could put anything you like on it. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this iced for us. And then we'll give it a taste. All right? All right, guys, we got it iced. And here is our finished product. Yeah, like I said, nothing fancy, nothing special, but it looks amazing. I know it smelled amazing coming out of the oven. And if it looks amazing and it smells amazing, what does that mean? It means we're 2/3 of the way there. So, what do we do next? Next, we have a piece. Yeah, that's the way it should be. So, oh, sorry, didn't mean to knock you around. I just need to get you up here so I can look into your eyes. You have the most amazing looking eyes. I know I tell you that all the time, but it's true, you know, and I just can't help but just stare at you and look at those beautiful eyes while we talk. So let me grab a plate real quick, and we're going to get a serrated knife real quick because that's a sponge cake, and serrated knives cut so much better. It's like cutting into fresh bread. So give me 2 seconds. Alright, found the knife. Now all I gotta do is get a plate. Which are down there at the moment. There they are. Now see, if I was a professional, I'd have had this already. And then you wouldn't have anything to talk about, would you? It's a fine china, serrated knife. Alright, so we're going to cut us a piece. Oh, that cuts like butter. Beautiful. And this way we can have a look at what we made. Yeah, and I say we because I mean that. I mean, we made this together. You were with me the whole way. Didn't even take no breaks. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. That's gorgeous. I know they'll be knocking down the doors for this. And there we are, is our golden chiffon cake with marshmallow icing. I know with the lighting it looks white, but it does have a nice light yellow tint to it. The yellow comes from the egg yolks. It's like yellow cakes when you make a yellow cake. The yellow comes from the egg yolks. So now it's just, my mouth is watering in anticipation. It's horrible. And it's just so spongy and so soft. Yeah, but here we go. Let's, well, excuse me. Yeah, that, my friends, that is a top-notch recipe. Or I'm just that good of a baker. But I think the baker is only as good as the recipe, and that recipe is amazing. It is so spongy and yet fluffy and moist, and the oil that you put in the cake is actually what gives it its moistness. Yeah, we're definitely keeping this one in this might become my new birthday cake, because I'm here to tell you, friends, this is great. Now, like I said earlier, yeah, shove one more piece in my pie hole. Or in this case, my cake hole. Oh, that's so good. But like I said earlier, you don't have to ice this even. You can just have it with, some fruit or by itself. It's really good on its own, I think. Um, the toppings are only limited by your imagination. You could do strawberries and blueberries with a little sauce on it. You could put some pecans on it and drizzle some syrup over it, for that matter. That would be really good. There's a million and one things I think you could top this with. And even if you did use the icing, you could still top it with all that stuff. The nuts, the fruits, the sprinkled toppings, whatever your heart desires. That is a fine cake. Now, as far as storage goes, because the icing is egg-based like it is, and whipped toppings like that don't have the ability to stay strong, so to speak, and it will start to break down after about a day. So if you're making this to take to a party, which I highly recommend, it would be a huge hit. You don't need to refrigerate it. Just take it with you. But if you're going to keep this in your house, more than a day, so you're making it for you or you and your family, as I got marshmallow cream in my beard, keep it in the fridge. You keep it in the fridge, it'll be good for about 4 or 5 days. Before and the icing won't go bad if you leave it out. It's not like it'll go rancid, but because of the sugar and egg concoction, it'll start to get gritty. It won't have that super smooth consistency that it does its first day of its life. After that, it gets like a gritty texture to it. And if you're okay with that, go team. Like I said, it won't hurt you. It won't kill you. It won't make you sick. At least not that I'm aware of. There's nothing in it to make you sick. The eggs have been cooked and they've been whipped, but the icing does change texture and it becomes gritty and not so smooth. So, if you're okay with that, you can leave it set out and it'll be good for a couple, 2-3 days. But if you can get it in the fridge, it'll maintain that smooth texture on the icing and it'll be good for about twice as long. All right. I know this has been a long video. This was a complicated cake with a not complicated icing, but not, take it out of the jar icing and not your standard frostings. So if you made it to the end, good job. But I would really like to see if one of you guys can try this cake, try to make it, because it really was a bit of a challenge. It was probably one of the more complex cakes I've made, but the reward at the end is awesome. Hands down. So, next week, I have no clue what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. Probably be something that happens over the weekend or something I find out that just makes me nuts that I want to share with the rest of the world and my opinion on it. Or we might be looking at stuff. Who knows? Tuesdays are always a crapshoot, so to speak. And, we can talk about anything or be doing anything. It just depends. Wednesday, definitely meeting up for dinner. Don't know what we're going to have yet, but I'll find us a cool recipe, I guarantee it. And then Thursday, we'll definitely be baking something. So, try this. Let me know if you do. Be like, Brian, that was a great cake. Thank you for the recipe. Or be like, Brian, that was a horrible cake. Why did you waste my time? Either way, I'd like to know. I love comments. That being said, I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and love them very much. It'll make their day better, I guarantee it. It'll make you feel better. And when you go to tell them that you love them and love them very much, take them a cake or take them a piece of cake. It'll make them feel good. It'll make them feel loved. Now you was showing it and telling them, which is awesome. And I'm probably going to remind people of that every time we get together. Only because, like I said, it really disturbed me that there are that many children going hungry and can't get nutritional food in our country. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, 2 videos ago, I talk about it there extensively. So, that being said, until next week, have a great rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you again. All right. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.